So prepared. Nail it in a row.
We're ready to go.
So my name is Sean, and our group's going to be talking about recruiting. So just kind of an overview and introduction. I'll start with a definition. Recruiting is the process of finding and hiring the best qualified candidate, whether that be within or outside of the company. And that's for a job opening, and preferably it's done in a timely and cost-effective manner. And then who is a recruiter? Well, people always kind of mix up recruiter and HR when it's really not exactly the same thing. A recruiter is someone who's hired by the company and they're fulfilling spots for that particular company, where opposed to like a headhunter where they're kind of working for various companies. So that's just a distinguishing. And then the areas that we're going to focus on, the company image, it's important to maintain a strong one, the methods and different organization levels, college recruiting, which I'm sure we've all dealt with at job fairs and whatnot, and then internet recruiting, which is a growing field that you'll deal with as well. And then the recruitment process includes the following: analyzing the job requirements, which I'll talk a lot about in this presentation, and we talked about in class, attracting employees, which I'll touch on as well, screening and selecting, and integrating that new employee to the organization once you've acquired them. And then analyzing the job requirements. This is really important. What you're going to want to do is perform a job analysis, and this is where you look at the job, at what it entails, and you're kind of matching that with the job qualifications. So you really want to find the ideal fit of an employee with that particular job you're trying to fulfill. And to compare with the job description is like a formal account of the employee's responsibilities. Once you do this, you'll then be able to determine the qualifications for the position and what it entails, kind of like how I touched on before. You definitely want to compare the two, or else they're both kind of useless. And just kind of continue this. One thing you want to ask yourself is this a new position, or are you trying to fulfill a new one that you already have? And you're going to want to see, like, do you want to target your strategic goals in the future, or just kind of replace the person that you already had? And as far as attracting employees goes, there's pay, benefits, control, and incentives. Obviously, people want to get paid more. People want incentives for working harder. People would like benefits as well. And obviously, people want control and power. Something to keep in mind is, of course, knowing what kind of business are you. Are you a reputable business like Google? Maybe you want to push your reputation. Maybe you're a small startup and you want to tell everyone that, hey, you can be involved and get a lot of experience when you work for us. Basically, you're just selling yourself as a company. And then screening. Obviously, this is important. This is where you're kind of weeding out potential employees. You're looking to verify the accuracy of their claims, whether it be in a resume or whatnot. And you're also trying to discover any possible crimes or sanctions or any kind of mishaps they've done in their past. Just kind of continue on this note. Good screening will improve regulatory compliance, increase the safety and security, and reduce employee turnover. Obviously, you want to hire a good employee that lasts. You don't want to have to be hiring the same employee for the same position every couple of years. It's just not ideal. And then this comes down to eventually selecting the employee. The key to selecting the right candidate, like I said before, is matching it with the job description. It doesn't matter if you hire the best engineer if you need someone to be a lifeguard at your local pool. The question you really should ask yourself is, who is the best at helping the company attain your goals? Just kind of continue once again. The interview is really your primary source of information about the employee. This is where you're going to find most of your information about the applicant. And just kind of on another note, a job reference can help you find out about their dependability and how they've worked for past jobs. And then this comes to ultimately integrating the new employee. So once you've hired the employee, you're trying to integrate them. You want to focus on the history of the company, the mission and the values, the culture and important policies. Just kind of want to give them a gist of what it's like working for you and what they should expect. And then this is kind of on a side note, being name blind during the recruiting process. You really want to give everyone a fair shot at obtaining the job. Government is trying to make sure that all jobs are 100% name blind, which is obviously tough to do, but we're making progress every day. Just want to eliminate any biases that people have. And then here comes sourcing. This is obviously another important aspect of recruiting. And sourcing is kind of the statement or acquisition discipline which focuses on identification and assessment of and engagement of skilled candidates through proactive techniques. What does that really mean? We'll get into it. Sourcing can be current or planned open positions. The goal is to collect relevant data about qualified candidates such as names, titles, and job responsibilities. So kind of digging into their past a little bit again and then kind of finding out what they've done. And then you're going to want to understand your goals. In short, a recruiter must understand the company goals and provide the organization with the talent and drive to lead the organization forward. You're going to want to say you want to get $10 million in sales and you only have $5 million. Maybe you want to hire more salesmen. You want to kind of look towards the future when you're thinking about who you're hiring and what you're looking for. And just kind of conclude a little bit, recruiting as a whole is vital to the organization, and you really have to focus on those goals and talent. And that's one of the many responsibilities of HR, to kind of fulfill and fuel the fire with labor. And just kind of how this relates to myself, I'm sure everyone here has been in contact with a recruiter, whether it be at one of the many job fairs here at Rowan, or whether it be on one side of the interview desk or another, and it's something we're going to have to continue to deal with through our professional lives. So that's just something I've dealt with.
Do I have to click anything?
Okay. So I'm going to be talking about company image. Company image or corporate image is defined as a reputation. It describes the manner in which a company, its activities, its products or services are perceived by outsiders. Businesses have to keep up with change to compete and survive with other businesses. Globalization also plays a big role because they're a catalyst in the rise of corporate image programs. Companies try to find ways to spread their reputation to distant markets. Society has growing expectations, and they kind of look at corporations as environmentally responsible. It's also important to manage company image, and it's broken up into 4 fundamental variables, which is corporate identity, corporate communication, corporate image, and feedback. Corporate identity is kind of defined as strategy. It's the overall plan that determines the company's product markets, scope, and policy programs used to compete in chosen markets. It's broken down into components: corporate strategy, corporate culture, organizational design, and operations. Corporate culture is defined as shared values and beliefs within an organization. Members hold a common ground where they have the same beliefs and they can relate to each other, their job, and their organization. It also explains why organizations behave the way they do and what's important and what's not important to them. Organizational design is the next component. It's the fundamental choices top managers make in developing the pattern of organizational relationships. It's basically the company's overall configuration. An example of that is like design of jobs, number of staff, personnel, internal systems and procedures, and degree of decentralization. Operations is the last component of corporate identity. It's the collection of activities the firm engages in affect its strategy. It's a very big influence on identity. Next component is corporate image. It's the reputation of the firm. Various audiences that are important are stakeholders and government regulatory agencies. They have a defined purpose, and the government agencies are required by law to monitor and regulate the firms. Stakeholders are important because the company relies on their perception of the company. If they have a positive perception on the company, it's usually better profits for that company. Principal stakeholders are concerned with bigger corporations, and they usually look at customers, distributors, retailers, financial institutions, and analysts, as well as the general public and employees. Government regulatory agencies are very discreet in interpreting and applying the law. If they have a positive perception of the company, they won't have to censor it as much or monitor them. Stakeholders also have different perceptions. They're broken up into different groups. So customers are more concerned with price, quality, and reliability. Financial institutions are concerned with financial structure and performance. Employees are more concerned with wages, working conditions, and personal policies. And they have to be dealt with individually to deal with each of their situations. It's really important to maintain image amongst the stakeholders. It's best to avoid inconsistency with image because stakeholder groups can overlap. A good example of that is financial community and shareholders, because they have the same financial and strategic concerns. Stakeholders rely heavily on advice from financial experts. Corporate communication provides the link between identity and image. It's very broad because companies communicate identity in different ways. Communication can be as far as like telephone conversations, how they're answered, or how the people of the company interact in events. Principal sources of communication is defined as company and product names and logos, formal statements like mission statements, credos, codes of ethics, annual reports, advertising copy, and company slogans. It's also important how they behave during events like anniversary sales or open houses. And last but not least, feedback is also very essential. It's important to the company image. Business owners and managers need accurate information on how the company is perceived to make decisions. And feedback also needs to be continuous and taken on a regular basis, and they get it from salespeople, clients, employees, and local business owners. Feedback information can lead to modifications to communication methods of the company, or a formal study of the corporate image may be initiated. It's important to utilize the sources and take a serious review on a regular basis. It's important to maintain a positive company image because it could benefit your company's profits. Better reputation leads to better sales. It also attracts talented employees, and that's the type of employees that you want working for your company. This also concludes that it's important to you and your company when you're looking for a job. So if you're looking for a job, you want something that goes with your personality, what you enjoy. If you enjoy what you're doing, you'll be more satisfied as well as benefiting your company's profits. This relates to me because I recently got an internship this summer for Benefit Cosmetics, and for you who don't know who that is, it's a luxury cosmetic company owned by Louis Vuitton. And their company image is kind of like laughter is your best smile, or laughter is your best cosmetic. And it's kind of like, they're like very bubbly, outgoing, like all the people that work for them. And I actually got the job before they even saw my resume, and it was mainly based off my personality because I was very outgoing. She knew that I could interact with her very well. I was always very happy, smiling. That's the type of person that they want working for their company.
My name's Todd. I'm going to talk to you about methods for recruiting at different levels of the organization. So first, I'll start with internal recruiting, which is the assessment of employees' current staff to see if the current employees are sufficiently skilled and qualified to perform for the job vacancies. When a business emerges in internal recruitment, a current employee might be reassigned to a new position or given either a promotion or internal transfer. So some sources of internal recruitment are transfers, which involve a shifting of a person from their present job to a similar job. This does not change rank, responsibility, or prestige. And next is a promotion, which refers to the shifting of a person's position, carrying better prestige and higher responsibility.